On the second floor of Yunji and Yancy, the maid of the eldest daughter of the Qiao family, a second branch stood guard at the stairway. In front of the bronze mirror, Hou Yu inserted aching fisher feather hairpin into Qiao Chizu's share. Looking at her beautiful reflection in the mirror, he smiled and said, "Chuxui, you look stunning." Qiao Chuxui lowered her head shyly. In the distance, the maid listened to these words with a hint of helplessness in her heart. Such aching fisher feather hairpin was just an ordinary piece of jewelry. Even women of Miss Sage would wear such old-fashioned hairpins, and Miss had never worn such things before. Now she's bewitched by Hou Yu and lost in his tender care. No matter how much the maid tried to dissuade her, she was only scolded in return. "Let me take you boating tomorrow? The scenery of green mountains and clear waters from the river is absolutely breathtaking. You will love it." After speaking, Hou Yu gently rubbed her earlobe. Seeing her shy look, he added, "I'll charter the entire boat, so it'll just be the two of us enjoying the beautiful scenery. Won't that be delightful?" Qiao Chuzu looked at him in the bronze mirror and paused slightly. It seemed she thought of something, and her face instantly turned as red as fire. Hou Yu smiled without speaking, holding her jade-like hand and gently caressing it. Noble ladies from prestigious families are no different after all. The last ray of the setting sun vanished into the sky, and the night fell like a huge black silk cloth covering the earth. Lanterns on the streets lit up one after another, and the capital at night remained bustling with life and a lively atmosphere. In the study of the East Palace, Jing Yuan pushed the door open and walked to the desk. He respectfully reported everything he had investigated during the day in detail. The Mobile bookstore has been completely exposed. The bookstore owner has come out of Prince Jing's mansion, so he's most likely being tortured to extract a confession. Ziyu looked calm without the slightest panic. Yanli's methods are cruel and decisive. There, Snowmouth he can try open. Jing Yuan said if that's the case, all the secrets of Mobile bookstore will be known to Prince Jing. Ziyu remained composed. No problem. Secrets that can be known by him aren't real secrets. Using a Mobile bookstore to lure out Prince Jing's secret agents is a very worthwhile deal. Ziyu opened the account book in his hand. My royal brother's influence spreads throughout Beiming City, but how can I allow him to infiltrate the capital? Jing Yuan said, "Your Highness, that person still hasn't said a single useful word. Until today, he's really a tough nut to crack." Ziyu stood up and threw the account book into the brazier. The rising flames danced wildly, greedily devouring their prey. The reflection of the fire in his pupils was a burning red, but there was no warmth in his eyes. Where was the gentle demeanor he showed to the world? Ziyu looked down at the burning account book with a contemptuous gaze. After a moment, he said slowly, "If you can't pry open his mouth, it means you're incompetent." Jing Yuan immediately laid tea on the ground. "This subordinate is guilty. Please punish me, Your Highness." Ziyu was silent for a long time. "Forget it. Since we can't try open his mouth, he's useless and there's no need to keep him. Your Highness means execute him by death by half severing." Jing Yuan nodded in response. "Yes." After speaking, he seemed to remember something. "Oh right, Your Highness. During the day, second Miss Qiao didn't attend the wedding banquet at the Imperial College Chancellor's mansion. She left early through the back door." Jing Yuan reported everything he had discovered in detail. Ziyu returned to his chair and sat down calmly, but his fingertips holding the tea cup turned pale from the tight grip. Just after dinner, Qiao Wanyan heard from the servants that the eldest miss had an unpleasant argument with the master in the study. Feeling bored and wanting to digest her food, she took Ziyuan to the study. Qiao Yihuan couldn't understand. "Why won't father take me? I'm also father's daughter. Is father really so biased?" Minister Kiao looked impatient. Take you? How do you plan to embarrass me this time? Kiao Yihuan was at a loss for words. But if she was left behind this time, how could she find an opportunity to spend time with His Highness? Even meeting him would be a problem. His Highness is hosting the Spring Hunt Assembly and must go to Shanglin hunting ground. If she doesn't go, Kiao Wanyan will definitely take this opportunity to seduce His Highness. She believed in His Highness, but she was also afraid. Suddenly, Kiao Yuhuan knelt down, tears welling up in her eyes. Father, I was careless last time. The Emperor originally liked the birthday gift it prepared, but because the young Marquis didn't keep it properly, Father was embarrassed along with me. But father, do you really dislike me? Kiao Yuhuan looked at him intently, hoping for his response. Ahavi, nothing left. My mother died suddenly, because of her own bad luck. I only have father. Does father really not want me anymore? Kiao Yuhuan's eyes were red, and she trembled slightly from grief and helplessness. She tightly grasped her skirt, her fingers turning white from the exertion. Kiao Yihuan was born with a delicate and beautiful face, pure without any vulgarity. Looking at the other person with tearful eyes, she could easily arouse the deepest compassion in their heart. Minister Kiao sighed. After all, you are my daughter. How couldn't it want you? If he really didn't want her, those old fogays would probably impeach him and find fault with him in every possible way. To be honest, those old fogays were born to find fault. It seems that if they don't find fault, they can show the meaning of their official positions. It's okay if you want to go, but you are after all a daughter of the Shangshu mansion, and you know the situation here. It never manage family affairs, so if you want to go, you need your mother's permission. Kiao Yihuan's heart sank. Mother has always disliked her, even hated her appearing in front of her. How could she possibly allow her to go to the Spring Hunt Assembly? Father wasn't giving in at all. He was just politely refusing her in another way. After a long silence, Kiao Yuhuan stood up. Yes, I understand. With that, she turned and left. The moment she opened the door, she saw Kiao Wanyan outside, looking at the playful and mocking smile on her lips. She forced a smile. Wanyan coming to talk to father so late? Kiao Wanyan smiled. No, I came to watch the fun knowing you were here. Kiao Yihuan's smile froze, and she quickly walked around her and left. Kiao Wanyan had no more fun to watch and was about to leave when she heard an eager voice from inside. You just came and now you are leaving? Won't you take a look at father? Don't you miss father? Kiao Yihuan listened to the tone behind her, which was completely different from the one used with her, and her face became extremely gloomy. Kiao Wanyan smiled. Wanyan misses father the most, so much that she's almost forgotten. Minister Kiao's beard twitched, and he pretended to scold. You little rascal, behind the study screen. Zhu Shujian stood with his hands behind his back, listening to the commotion outside. It was the first time he had heard second Miss Kiao speak in a coquettish tone, sweeter than honey. On her way back from the study, Kiao Yihuan was distracted the entire time. Miss, what should we do? Kiao Yuhuan lowered her eyes, looking lost. Chowing, I really want to go to the Spring Hunt Assembly. No, I'm used to commoner daughter with a low status. Not qualified to go, but I want to take this opportunity to meet His Highness and explain all the grievances I've suffered. Xiaoying wiped her tears and coaxed her back to Mingshang Pavilion. However, she didn't stay to guard her. Instead, she made an excuse to go to the toilet and quietly left through the back door for Jing and Marquis Mansion. Young Marquis, from a distance, Xiaoying saw Zhang Qiyun get off the carriage. She was worried that the gatekeeper of Jing and Marquis Mansion might not help her announce her arrival, but she was lucky to meet him directly. Zhang Qian stopped. Xiaoying, why are you here? Xiaoying immediately said, Young Marquis, I came to see you so late because I have something important to ask you to help my miss. Zhang Qiyun's expression changed slightly. What's wrong with Sister Yihuan? Xiaoying said. Master only wants to take Madam and second Miss to the spring hunt assembly. My miss also really wants to go. She rarely travels far. And this is a rare opportunity. I feel so sorry, seeing Miss so depressed that she can teat. So I came to ask young Marquis for help. Zhang Qian's lips straightened, seeming hesitant. Xiaoying quickly added, young Marquis, you are the best person to my miss. Please, help her. She's been really sad these days. With all kinds of things happening to her. She can to eat or sleep and has lost a lot of weight. I just can bear to see it. Zhang Qian let out a long sigh. But if Minister Qiao Wan takes Sister Yi Huan, even if I talk to him, he definitely won't listen to me. Minister Qiao isn't just a third rank minister. In the previous dynasty, the noble families and the royal family stood in opposition, and the noble families had no less say than the royal family. The noble families held academic classics, annexed land, and held official positions for generations, making it difficult to uproot them easily. Although the dynasty has changed now and the power of the noble families has been gradually weakened, the Qiao family as the leading noble family still holds a position above the Grand Preceptor, for no other reason than that Minister Qiao has no sons, which greatly reduces the threat to the royal family, so he can be reused and even trusted. For such a person, even if father went to talk, Minister Qiao might not agree to everything, let alone myself. Xiaoying's pupils rolled quickly, and she seemed to think of a proposal. Young Marquis, I have an idea that might work. Tell me about it. As the east was about to dawn, the imperial palace had already awakened. In the DH hall, soldiers in silver armor stood in awe-inspiring formations, waiting for the emperor to step out of the hall. The princes and ministers, dressed in court uniforms, quietly awaited the imperial carriage. When the bells of Maoshi 5-7 am chimed in unison, the emperor walked out of the hall surrounded by everyone. In an instant, all the ministers knelt down in unison, their voices rolling like thunder, startling several birds on the palace walls. The sound of hooves and the rumble of carriages kicked off the grand spring hunt assembly at Shanglin hunting ground. Qiao Wanyan and other official family members could enter the palace and follow the emperor, so they waited at the city gate. She was in her own carriage but was invited by Princess He Baozhu. As the carriage gradually moved away, He Baozhu took a small porcelain bowl out of the food box. Ikno, you got up late and probably haven't had breakfast yet. Try this. I supervised its preparation myself. She had wanted to do it herself, but Wei Mo didn't allow her, saying that her noble status didn't require her to do it herself, so she sat by and told the maids how to make it step by step. Although He Baozhu had been here for a while, when someone said her status was noble, she had to pinch her thigh hard to keep from laughing out loud, thinking of herself as a modern office worker. Qiao Wanyan looked at the dark spots on it and felt a bit disgusted. This is burnt. Can it still be eaten? Of course it can. He Baozhu took another bowl and took a big bite in front of her. It's delicious. Really good. This is the first time it read making it, and especially brought it for you to try. Qiao Wanyan took a small bite skeptically, and her previously sleepy eyes immediately lit up. What is this? It's so delicious. He Baozhu snorted proudly and said arrogantly, this is called caramel pudding. I had a nursemaid in Yangtze City who knew a lot. She told me many interesting things, but unfortunately, she passed away later. Soap is one of them. I'll tell you about all the delicious and fun things I make in the future. She's a time traveler, but she doesn't say it. She pushes all the strange things onto an existent nursemaid. Even if another time traveler suspects her, she'll just deny it. Let others think that nurse maid was the time traveler, and everything she knows was heard from the nursemaid. She doesn't have big ambitions. With such a well-off status, she must enjoy life and do what she wants to pass the time. Caramel pudding. Kia Wanyan repeated. It. Caramel pudding is now second. Only to osmanthus cake in my heart. He Baoju. Do you really like osmanthus cake that much? He Baoju looked at the caramel pudding in her hand and sighed inwardly. You're so useless. You can't even beat osmanthus cake. Try this too. He Baoju took out French fries and ketchup, but they didn't suit Kia Wanyan's taste. It's not delicious. These simple 3 words were like a sword-piercing He Baohu shirt. Sis talks so directly. It's actually delicious when it's just fried, but it's gotten a bit soft after a long time. I'll have someone serve it to you as soon as it's fried, and it will taste different from now. Kia Wanyan nodded. What kind of life did the 10th princess have in Yangtze City? She actually thought potatoes were a delicacy? Poor thing. At the same time in Madame Jin's carriage, Yun Yao had been playing with Alyabin Lock for a long time but couldn't figure it out. Angry lie. She opened the window and threw the Lubin lock out. Madame Jin shook her head. Helpless lie. Why is this child so restless? She and her husband were fine together, but the child was afraid she'd be bored and insisted on coming to this carriage to keep her company, instead of relieving boredom. The child got angry while playing with toys. How did Yanyan put up with having this girl around without getting annoyed? That child isn't patient either. Yun Yao picked up a shuttlecock and said excited lie. Madam, let's play shuttlecock. The carriage is big enough to play in. Madam Jin. Yanyan was never a playful or noisy child since she was young. When she was sensible and started learning characters, she liked reading and writing. Or she liked all kinds of exquisite jewelry and would sit in front of the mirror dressing up beautifully. Now meeting this girl, she's experiencing what it's like to raise a mischievous child. The journey from Shanglin hunting ground to the capital is in short, and with the imperial convoy moving at a slow pace, it'll take at least 2 days and 1 night. They expected to arrive by noon the next day. The setting sun is like blood, dyeing half the sky a dazzling crimson. The convoy stops. They'll be camping in the wilderness tonight, while guards prepare the tents. Kia Wanyan and He Baoju stay in the carriage. Guo Licheng happens to come to pay her respects and is invited by He Baoju to join them for a card game. He Baoju isn't familiar with ancient leaf cards, but she picks up the rules quickly. After a short lesson, of course, Kia Wanyan lacks the patience for this, so Guo Licheng carefully explains the game, going over it twice when she does get it right until she masters it. Guo Licheng is a leaf card expert at home, but she only wins 1 out of 10 rounds with them. I'm not as clever as the princess and second miss. Leaf cards are really too hard, Kia Wanyan says flatly. You know how to play, but winning also takes talent. Guo Licheng nods and smiles. Second miss is right. I can never remember the cards. I have far less talent than you. Kia Wanyan curves her lips slightly. Guo Licheng is clearly an expert, just letting them win on purpose. Her flattery is so subtle and skillful that it's impossible to dislike. After playing for so long, my throat is dry. Why don't the princess and second miss try the new tea I brought from my hometown? It can't compare to what you usually drink, but it's a novelty. He Baoju has won several times in her first try and is in such a good mood that she forgets to dislike Guo Licheng, whose name sounds like orange juice. Sure, I am thirsty. Guo Licheng gets out of the carriage and pauses lightly at the sight of a handsome young man approaching. Qiao Jibai doesn't recognize the woman alighting from the carriage but still nods in greeting. He walks to the side of the carriage and says in a gentle voice, "Younger sister Wanyan, I'm a Jibai from the second branch. The tents are set up. You can rest whenever you like." As court officials, the second branch of the Qiao family took charge of setting up camp. Qiao Wanyan doesn't respond, so Zilan speaks up. "Thank you, second young master." Qiao Jibai isn't offended by the maid shrubly and remains mild-mannered. "No need to thank me. I'll take my leave." He turns and walks away. Guo Licheng watches his back. Zilan Was that man from the Kiao family's second branch? Seoan nods. Yes, a commoner son of the second branch. Guo Liching withdraws her gaze. A commoner son? The bright full moon in the night. Sky is like a flawless jade plate, pouring down cool, gentle silver light that wraps everything in a faint glow. In the dead of night, Lu Jinyang enters the tent. Seeing Kiao Wanyan reading a book with one hand, he stays silent for a long time before saying, "The antidote." Kiao Wanyan scoffs. "How much willpower do you think you have? It hurts, doesn't it?" He looks calm, but he must be in intense pain. The poison from Yun Heng isn't something ordinary people can withstand, but Lu Jinyang can endure it so well. He must have built up resistance from all the suffering he's endured. Lu Jinyang doesn't speak, just stares at her quietly. His face is pale and bloodless, looking sickly and weak. Kiao Wanyan puts down her book. "Come here. Let your master hear you bark." Madam Jin, who just came to bring her daughter Suit the nerve soup, freezes at the door, staring wide-eyed at Kiao Wanyan. The scene turns awkward. The air is so silent that a pin drop would be audible. Then an untimely woof sounds. Madam Jin. Madam Jin looks at Lu Jinyang, then her daughter with a shocked, confused gaze. "Mother," Kiao Wanyan says weakly. Madam Jin forces a laugh. "Haha, Yanyan. I came to bring you some Soothe the Nerve soup. Drink it and rest early. We have to start early tomorrow." She turns and leaves the tent without another word. After walking several hang, she leans on a maid and stops. Looking back, goodness, does her daughter usually play this wildly? Weren't they planning for her to marry the crown prince? Is she heading down the path of keeping a Mali concubine? Madam Jin downs the Soothe the Nerve soup in one gulp. She'd never sleep otherwise. What's Lu Jinyang's background? The maid says Madam Second Miss brought him back from Yongju as a personal guard. Heard she bought him for his martial arts. Seoan mentioned. Once he's an orphan. Madam Jin sighs. If he's well behaved, it's fine for him to stay with Yanyan. But if Yanyan still wants to marry the crown prince, he shouldn't be around. The thought of Yanyan pulling stunts like this after marrying into the East Palace makes her scalp tingle. What does Madam mean? The maid looks back at the distant tent. Should they dispose of Lu Jinyang to nip this in the bud? Madam Jin is silent for a moment. No, I'll discuss it with her father first. Even if we need to deal with Lu Jinyang, we have to ask Yanyan's opinion. In the tent, Kiao Wanyan throws her book at Lu Jinyang. "Why did you bark random lie?" He did it on purpose. He never barks when she asks, only when it's embarrassing. Lu Jinyang says calmly, "You told me to bark, Master. It wasn't random." Kiao Wanyan is so angry she laughs. "Fine. Since you're so obedient, you deserve a reward. Ceylon, get the riding crop." Ceylon. "Miss, we didn't bring the riding crop." Kiao Wanyan. "Zhang Qian has one. Go borrow it." Ceylon nods and leaves. Finds Jinggan Marquis Mansion's tent and reports to the guard. Soon, Zhang Qiyun comes out. "What does Kiao Wanyan want at this hour?" Ceylon. "My miss wants to borrow your riding crop." Young Marquis. "Borrow a riding crop for what?" Zhang Qian is confused. "To train a dog." Zhang Qiyun is silent for a moment. "Wait here." He rushes into the tent and returns with a riding crop. "Let's go, I'll deliver it myself." Lu Jinyang watches Zhang Qiyun sit down with a plate of melon seeds, eager to watch the show. Zhang Qian seems impatient, pointing at Lu Jinyang. "Train him. You said train a dog, right?" Ceylon looks at the young Marquis munching melon seeds with a grin and says to Kiao Wanyan, "Miss, I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen." Zhang Qiyun came charging over like Arnaway horse. Anyone would think he has a grudge against Lu Jinyang. Kiao Wanyan closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, then opens them and beckons. "Come closer. I need to tell you something in private." Zhang Qiyun suddenly shivers. His sixth sense screams danger. He stands up. Awkward lie. "My brother is about to be born. I'm going to bed." Ceylon. The young Marquis is an only child. Where did a brother come from? And brother is born? Did she hear correctly? Qiao Wanyan loses all interest. Annoyed by the fool, she throws the riding crop at Lu Jinyang. You ray lucky today. I can TB bode. Red to reward you. She looks at Ziyuan, who hands her a brocade box. Qiao Wanyan opens it, takes out an antidote pill, waves it in the air. Open your mouth. Lu Jinyang opens his mouth. Obediently, she tosses the pill, which he catches. Then his face darkens when he realizes what she did. Qiao Wanyan chuckles. All right, get out. Lu Jinyang takes the riding crop and leaves. Increasingly annoyed, he throws the crop to the ground and crushes it with his foot. Damn Zhang Qiyun. They arrive at Shanglin hunting ground at noon the next day. The sun hangs high, its golden light pouring through the clouds like a silk curtain. The hunting ground spacious can accommodate everyone. Only the emperor, empress, and royal family can stay there. Civil and military officials with their families must stay in tents. The vast, usually quiet Shanglin hunting ground becomes lively, filled with laughter as people find their tents and unpack. He Baozhu summons the courage to approach the emperor. Although she's a princess now, she's still intimidated by the son of heaven. When she first met him after time traveling, she was too scared to look up. Father, your daughter has a request. I hope father will grant it. He Baohu's shirt races. She can hear it pounding. The emperor has little affection for this daughter. Her mother had a low status, and he only met her 2 or 3 times. If the empress hadn't mentioned it was time for her to marry, he might have forgotten he had a daughter named Baozhu. He remembers that year when Nan Liang presented a precious pearl, and the empress asked what to name the 10th princess. He chose Baohu Pearl. Since returning to the capital, she stayed quietly in the princess mansion, recently researching odd things like soap, which he seen in concubine Chu's quarters. It's very useful and sells so well in the capital that it's in short supply. Speak, he Baozhu says softly. Your daughter wants to invite the second daughter of the Minister of Revenue to stay with me. I'm timid and feel uneasy in a new place. I want. Before she finishes, the emperor agrees. Granted, Baozhu. You a princess, you should be generous and bold. If you continue to be timid, you'll only invite bullying. He Baozhu rejoices. Thank you, father. Your daughter will follow father's teachings and be bold from now on. The emperor chuckles. This girl is interesting. Go rest. He Baozhu smiles. Yes, your daughter takes her leave. Turning to leave the hall, she breathes a sigh of relief. The emperor is in Taz. Cold as she imagined, his tone is like her father who died in a car accident. He Baozhu leaves the palace to find Qiao Wanyan. Tents are comfortable but inferior to the palace. Qiao Wanyan deserves the best, so inviting her to stay will make her like herself more. He Baozhu giggles. She can't imagine how fragrant Qiao Wanyan is. If she pretends to be a restless sleeper and hugs her, will she get punched? The next morning, He Baozhu leaves the palace with a black eye. Guo Liqing is shocked. Princess, what happened to you? Second miss. What's wrong with the princess? Qiao Wanyan purses her lips. Well, we slept together last night. The princess is into a steady sleeper. She punched Ed herself. He applied medicine immediately, but there's still a bruise this morning. He Baozhu feels wrong Ed, but does N expose the lie? She said she was asleep. If she admits she was pretending to cuddle, Qiao Wanyan might not play with her anymore. From the modern world to ancient times, this is her first black eye. After being farted on and punched, she hopes her luck turns around. Guo Liqing sighs. The princess is too hard on herself. She must have had a nightmare. He Baozhu snorts inwardly. Nightmare indeed. After the punch, she dreamed of being punched over and over. Waking up this morning, she was exhausted and dizzy. Qiao Wanyan says, Princess must be more careful. This breaks my heart to see. He Baozhu pouts. Her sis may look delicate, but she packs a punch. Guo Liqing sees someone emerging from the palace and bows. This subject greets the prince. The others turn to look. "Greetings, Prince, elder brother," He Baozhu calls out, marveling at He Yanli approaching against the light. Having such a handsome brother is impressive. He Yanli looks at Qiao Wanyan, then at He Baozhu's eye. "New makeup? Ugly." He Baozhu, "Maybe he's not that handsome. After all, just average." He Ziyu stroked a fine horse. "Is everything prepared?" Jing Yuan replied respectfully, "Your Highness can rest assured, everything is ready." His Majesty's imperial horse has been carefully inspected several times, and this subordinate has sent someone to bring it here. He Hu nodded slightly. In the sunlight, he half closed his eyes, and his long eyelashes cast a shadow. "Your Highness." He Ziyu looked in the direction of the voice and saw a familiar figure, but her attire was Yuan. "Why are you here? Didn't Minister Qiao say you've been unwell recently and would NT come to the spring hunt assembly? Why was she not only here but also dressed as a maid?" Qiao Yuan deliberately didn't take off this outfit. She was dressed simply and hadn't applied makeup. Sunlight fell on her face, making the faint fuzz clearly visible. Her fair skin had irisy glow, making her look pitiful. "Your Highness, it's not that I'm unwell, but father didn't want to bring me, but I." Before she could finish, a guard approached from a distance. "Your Highness, His Majesty has finished breakfast." He Hu responded lightly, then said, "Yuan, I have important matters to attend to now. We can talk when I return." With that, he turned and left. His tone was as gentle as ever, but Qiao Yuan felt an inexplicable unease. She always felt that His Highness was now somewhat stranger than before. Obviously, his tone and expression were the same as before, but she could sense that subtle change. "Sister?" Qiao Wanyan walked over with a smile. "Why are you here? Father clearly didn't bring you." Qiao Yuan looked behind her. In the distance, He Baozhu and Guo Liqing seemed to be talking and had no intention of coming over, but it was clear that the three of them had just been together. Qiao Wanyan raised her lips and smiled, charming and bright. In the storybook, she had prevented father from bringing Qiao Yuan to the spring hunt assembly, and father had complied with her wish. Although in the storybook Qiao Yuan was NTS scolded by the emperor and embarrassed in public because of that barrel of ginger, father still followed her will. But later, it was the crown prince who ordered father to bring her along. If father refused, the East Palace carriage would pick up Qiao Yuan, so father had no choice but to bring her. But now, since the crown prince hadn't taken the initiative to ask Qiao Yuan to come, how did she still arrive? Right, Qiao Yuan was the daughter of heaven. How could she not come to the spring hunt assembly to cultivate feelings with the crown prince? Damned heaven's path, not a good thing. She must have sneaked in dressed as a maid. Qiao Wanyan could roughly guess who had brought her in, but it's good that she's here. When the Xiling envoys arrive, someone will teach Qiao Yuan a lesson. I wonder if the person who teaches Qiao Yuan a lesson will suddenly faint for no reason, just like herself. If they do, it's fine. If they don't, she will definitely scold that stinky thing for 3 days and nights next time she meets it. Qiao Yuan said gently, "Since father didn't want to bring me, naturally someone was willing to. Thank you for worrying, sister." Qiao Wanyan laughed. "Who is it? Who is willing to let sister come to Shanglin hunting ground dressed as a maid? This is too disrespectful to sister, treating you like a lowly thing." After saying that, Qiao Wanyan laughed loudly, her laughter harsh. "If you want to be sarcastic with me, you need to practice more. You should learn to swallow your anger as before. If you insist on confronting me, don't blame me for being ruthless. However, even maids don't have such ugly scars. Sister is worse than a maid." Qiao Yuan watched coldly as she left arrogantly. She did it on purpose to annoy her. But Qiao Yuan was right. Qiao Wanyan had come over out of boredom. Today the imperial convoy entered the hunting ground for hunting with the ministers, and the female relatives of the officials naturally could follow. Kia Wanyan he Baoju, and others were in the pavilion, discussing poetry and songs while looking at the greenery in the distance. He, Baoju, could understand a word. At first, she pretended to be deep in thought, but finally gave up and went to pick wild flowers to weave into a wreath. Kia Wanyan took a sip of tea. She read that the Xiling and Vo Wise were scheduled to arrive in 3 days according to the storybook. Thinking of the various deeds the Xiling prince had done in disguise, she began to worry. She worried about who to choose as her scapegoat. Second miss, what are you thinking about? Kia Wanyan glared at her. What's it to you? You know I'm thinking and still disturb me. Do you want to die? Guo Liqing pursed her lips. She had just praised herself for being good at speaking, but now she was scolded. But it's okay to be scolded. After all, she had just flattered second miss in the right place, and second miss had rewarded her with a Fairy Palace Night gold hairpin. That hairpin was so exquisite that she could afford it with Ayer's monthly allowance. She was reluctant to wear it out for fear of damaging or losing it. Sister Ayan. Yun Yao ran out from now here. Sister Ayan, look what I found, flower wing grass. This grass can be used to make it Qing powder. There's no antidote. Only water can relieve it. I'll go make it Qing powder now. In the future, if anyone makes Sister Ayan unhappy, I'll use it on them. Upon hearing this, Guo Liqing immediately lowered her head to make herself as inconspicuous as possible. How could this little girl know how to make such things? She looked silly, only knowing how to play and eat, but she actually had some real skills. Without waiting for Kia Wanyan to speak, Yun Yao finished speaking in a rush and turned around to run away. In the evening, the imperial convoy left the hunting ground. It seemed that a lot of prey had been hunted, and the emperor was in a great mood. So the evening banquet was extremely grand and lively. Naturally, the evening banquet mainly featured the prey hunted by the emperor and ministers during the day. Kia Wanyan didn't like to eat it, so she stayed in her room eating osmanthus cakes, planning to eat less at the banquet later. Sun Tian's osmanthus cakes are the best. They never get boring. As Xiuan packed the hairpins and jewelry, she suddenly saw a He-Shi-Bai at the bottom of the jewelry box. It was the one Kia Wanyan had casually put there after returning from the Flower God Temple. Miss, the He-Shi-Bai given to you by His Highness during the Flower Festival is also here. Do you want to wear it today? His Highness will probably be happy to see it. Kia Wanyan said casually. No, that He-Shi-Bai is too old-fashioned. It's embarrassing to wear it out. His Highness has bad taste. How can he give me such old-fashioned things? Outside the door, He Ziyu raised his hand to stop Jing Yuan from knocking. Miss is right. This He-Shi-Bai doesn't match any of your outfits. Kia Wanyan beckoned for Xiuan to bring the jewelry box over and picked up a goose yellow tongkao flower from the top. The delicate texture at the edges was like the natural kiss marks on Ariel flower, and the colors transitioned smooth like a dream. Kia Wanyan's sais curved with joy. This one, I'll wear the bright yellow dream butterfly dance dress tonight. It will look great with this tongkao flower. Okay, Miss looks the best in anything. Kia Wanyan chuckled. Although Zhang Qiyun is not very good, this set of tongkao flowers he brought is really beautiful and suits my taste. I like it very much. It's just a pity that it's not unique. The Jing and Marquis Mansion has held the games for more than 10 years, and more than 10 sets of tongkao flowers have been given out in these 10 years. If this set were unique, it would be perfect. The tongkao flower in her hand must be her lifelong favorite. Outside the door, Jing Yuan kept his head slightly lowered, quietly raising his eyelids to peek to the side, but not daring to look directly. He looked solemn and cautious, waiting for His Highness's order, not missing the slightest movement. Second Miss Kiao was too outspoken, although she was talking to her own maid behind closed doors. Even if the thing given by His Highness was not good, it was still agift. How could she dislike it so much? Although the he she buy was not as exquisite as the Tong Cow flower, it was still a fine jade and was given on Flower Festival, so it was of great significance. Second Miss Kiao was a bit ungrateful. If the he she buy were given to Miss Kiao, she would definitely take good care of it and wear it every day. Reluctant to take it off, He Hu's face was gloomy, and his delicate features seemed to be shrouded in a layer of clouds. Jing Yuan didn't dare to breathe. He was thinking that second Miss Kiao might be scolded today, but to his surprise, His Highness turned and left. He had no intention of entering. Jing Yuan immediately followed quietly. He Hu looked at the distant mountains, which matched the crimson sky, and his deep eyes were slightly half closed. Jing Yuan saw him standing there looking into the distance for a long time. "You're high." "Scram," He Hu said coldly, interrupting Jing Yuan's words. Jing Yuan pursed his lips. Yes. Gorgeous tents stood in a row, emitting a warm yellow light. In the boundless night, the campfire burned fiercely, making a crackling sound, adding warmth to the long-lost live lines of Shanglin hunting ground. The emperor arrived slowly, and all the ministers and their families stood up to pay their respects. After being seated, Kia Wanyan sat down. Out of the corner of her eye, she noticed a gaze that made her uneasy. She looked back and saw it was the crown prince. Feeling confused, Kia Wanyan smiled and nodded, but saw that He Ziyu was still looking at her in different lie, as if he wanted to stare through her. After a long time, He Ziyu's gaze moved up to the Tong Cow flower on her head. It was as if something was blocking his chest, making it difficult to breathe. He Ziyu withdrew his gaze and drank the hot wine in his cup in one gulp. Kia Wanyan was full of doubts. Is he sick? He Yanli also had no smile on his face. He rubbed the wine cup with his fingertips, and a trace of displeasure appeared in his eyes. What's there to see? Zhang Qiyun's seat was arranged next to Kiao Wanyan. He had been looking at the banquet for a long time, but she had only taken 2 bites of the roast lamb leg on her table. After eating for so long, she had only slightly damaged the lamb leg. Qian, try this. Mother just peeled it. Eating too much roast meat is greasy. Have some oranges to refresh your palate. Zhang Qiyun nodded and took it. Thank you, Mother. He picked up half and ate it listlessly, but his gaze uncontrollably fell on Kiao Wanyan, who was sitting dignifiedly beside him. The light was as bright as during the day. Everyone was either talking to those around them, or watching the official prostitutes playing music in the center. Weren't they sitting posture so elegant and dignified tiring? Aren't you tired? Zhang Qian couldn't help asking. Kia Wanyan turned to look at him, shook her head and then looked away. Zhang Qian frowned slightly. Why didn't she speak? But he felt a strange sense of tenderness. Do you want to eat some oranges? The roast meat is too greasy. Oranges can refresh your palate. As Zhang Qiyun spoke, he pushed the bowl of orange petals in front of him over. Kia Wanyan shook her head again. Who knows if he washed his hands? The maids in Yangning Pavilion would wash their hands 2 or 3 times before feeding her. As for Yunheng in Yaoshi Valley feeding her lychees, not to mention, he was a clean person who washed his hands several times a day. Zhang Qiyun awkwardly put the bowl back on the table. He found Kiao Wanyan's attitude towards him fresh. After a moment of silence he said again, "Hey." A trace of impatience flashed in Kiao Wanyan's. This person is so annoying. Zhang Qiyun rested one hand on the table and propped his chin with the other, looking towards Kiao Wanyan. Can you shoot arrows? Do you want to go hunting in the forest tomorrow? Hunting in Shanglin hunting ground is much more fun than other places. There are not only many prey, but also a large area to display your skills. He didn't go to the spring hunt assembly 4 years ago because he was ill. and he was too young to hunt in the forest 8 years ago. He just came to Shanglin hunting ground to join in the fun. Today, following the emperor into the forest, he had a hearty hunt. That feeling of freedom and chic was priceless. Kia Wan Yan's bright peach blossom eyes blinked. I can shoot arrows. Zhang Qian clicked his tongue. Can't? So stupid. Kia Wanyan didn't hold him back. Her starry eyes looked at him quietly. Zhang Qian felt uneasy without being scolded. Is she holding back a big one? After a long time, Kia Wanyan spoke, and Zhang Qian's heart was in his throat. You're right. I am stupid. So tomorrow, I will ask His Highness the Crown Prince to teach me how to shoot arrows. After saying that, she smiled and looked away. Zhang Qian looked at her smug look and his face turned black. She's so old and can't shoot arrows. Yet she's still smug. What's there to be proud of? His Highness the Crown Prince is busy every day. How can he have time to teach you archery? I can spare some time tomorrow to teach you. Stupid girl. Zhang Qian looked reluctant. But Kia Wanyan had not looked at him since he started speaking and was thinking about how to flirt with the Crown Prince tomorrow. A strong sense of frustration spread from his heart, and it was as if all the strength in his body had been forcibly drained. Zhang Qian instantly lost his energy. Why is she ignoring me? As the east grew bright, a fish belly white appeared in the sky. The clear chirping of birds outside the window broke the morning tranquility. Kia Wanyan slowly opened her eyes, turned to look at He Baozhu, lying spread-eagled beside her, and sat up with a hint of helplessness, watching her sleep soundly and sweetly. She found it a bit amusing. How could someone sleep so unrestrainedly? He Baozhu was a heavy sleeper. Kia Wanyan got up, changed clothes, and dressed without waking her. It was tea until breakfast was brought in, and the aroma of dishes filled the air. That He Baozhu's nose twitched, and she slowly opened her eyes. Is it time to eat? She groggily rubbed her eyes and sat up, and Wei Mo immediately went over to help her get out of bed. Seeing her drowsy and not yet awake, she was about to walk towards the dining table when she was immediately stopped and gently reminded. Princess, why don't you change and dress first? Although it was a question, He Baozhu could hear the determined tone in that gentle question, and suddenly a lot of sleepiness was cleared. Kia Wanyan watched her come over and sit down, beautifully dressed by Wei Mo, and smiled. Does the princess have any plans for today? He Baozhu took a sip of porridge and thought carefully. Not yet. There were so many entertainment options in the modern world. She could happily stay in an air-conditioned room with a mobile phone for a whole day. But in ancient times, especially here where she could only see green mountains and fields in the distance, she really didn't find it interesting. She should have stayed in the capital. At least the capital was lively and interesting. How about playing leaf cards today? Or I can teach you a new way to play cards? Kia Wanyan declined. I'm not really interested in card games. I thought that since I was still young the last time I came to Shanglin hunting ground, I want to enter the forest to experience the fun of hunting this time. He Baozhu felt a little sad. She was interested in hunting or anything. Seeing that she didn't seem very interested, Kia Wanyan raised her lips and smiled gently. I wonder if His Highness the Crown Prince is free. I want to ask His Highness to teach me archery. He Baozhu looked over and immediately saw Kia Wan Yan's lightly red cheeks and the delicate shyness of a young girl. She was as charming as a begonia inebriated by the sun, soft as jade and gentle as a flower. He Baozhu grinned foolishly. What to do? Seeing a beauty early in the morning has made her appetite soar. Wanyan, why don't I go talk to Crown Prince brother for you? Kia Wanyan was slightly surprised, then picked up the teacup. I offer tea instead of wine to the princess. The princess is so understanding. He Baozhu quickly finished her breakfast and ran to find He Ziyu. She was stupid and could see that Wanyan liked the crown prince. Since that's the case, she was naturally willing to charge forward to help Wanyan, helping Wanyan ask the crown prince to teach her archery, and then pulling Guo Licheng, who always wanted to stick to Wanyan, to play somewhere else, leaving Wanyan and the crown prince a romantic space to get along. Although she was the most powerful time-traveling woman in history, she must be the most observant time-traveling woman. The sky was clear and blue, and today was an excellent day. When Qiao Wanyan arrived at the drill ground, she saw Zhang Qiyun holding a bow and arrow, knocking the arrow and drawing the bow in one smooth motion, and shooting through the bullseye in the distance. Hey what's so great about that? Qiao Wanyan withdrew her gaze, walked to the long table, looked at the various bows and arrows on it, and concentrated on selecting the most beautiful one. Zhang Qiyun glanced back, out of the corner of his eye, but saw that Qiao Wanyan wasn't looking at him at all, but was choosing a bow and arrow. Suddenly, with black lines on his head, he walked over there. Why are you here? Qiao Wanyan didn't speak, as if she hadn't heard him. Not to be outdone, Zhang Qian said, are you here to learn archery? These ones here aren't suitable for you. You have little strength, so this short bow is just right for you. As he spoke, he picked up a short bow and weighed it in his hand. Qiao Wanyan gave him a sideways glance, slightly disgusted. You're so noisy. Zhang Qiyun felt as if an invisible arrow had hit his chest. Qiao Wanyan added, this short bow is so ugly. It has no momentum at all. When held, I didn't like it. Archery emphasizes momentum, and using such a short bow is not imposing at all. Zhang Qian sneered. Do you have to choose the most beautiful bow when selecting a bow? It's not a beauty pageant. Who would choose those fancy ones when really going into battle? Only a delicate lady like you would like those bows that only have a beautiful appearance. Qiao Wanyan punched him in the chest. Mind your own business. Get out of here. Annoying. She can choose whatever she wants. And going into battle to kill the enemy. She's not going into battle to kill the enemy. Qiao Wanyan's punch was made in anger, and it hurt when it was thrown. But Zhang Qiyun didn't feel the pain at all. Instead, he had a hippie smile. What are you angry? Are you unhappy that it called you a delicate lady? Aren't you a delicate lady? Qiao Wanyan looked at him, didn't speak, scanned the surroundings, and finally walked towards the weapon rack. Looking at the weapons, she immediately chose a wolf tooth club that looked very imposing but not very beautiful. For an idiot like Zhang Qian, beauty was useless. What was useful was actual lethality. Zhang Qiyun twitched at the corner of his mouth. If this club was swooing over, he would either die or be disabled. However, Qiao Wanyan didn't pick it up at all. That wolf tooth club looked full of momentum, and its weight was also very heavy. An undisguised laugh sounded. Zhang Qiyun laughed so hard that he bent forward and backward, and he found it even more amusing when he saw her black-faced look. Qiao Wanyan, idiot. She took 2 or 3 steps over. Pack. The laughter stopped abruptly. Qiao Wanyan, this is still the most satisfying. Keep laughing. Why don't you laugh anymore? Don't you think it's funny? Before Zhang Qian could speak, he heard an anxious voice approaching. Wanyan, how can you hit Qian in public? He is the young Marquis of the Jing and Marquis Mansion. You will cause trouble for father by doing this. Qiao Yihuan walked over with a helpless expression. Although there weren't many people here, there were still many guards on the drill ground. Being so confused about the seriousness of the matter was really too arrogant. Qiao Wanyan chuckled dismissively. Are you itchy because I didn't hit you? If he didn't provoke me, would I hit him for no reason? Do you think I am the kind of person who is unreasonable? Qiao Yuhuan had a sad expression. You are so willful. I say these things for your own good. Why won't you listen? Sister Yuhuan, don't be angry. Qiao Yuhuan let out a heavy sigh. I'm not angry. I just can't bear to see you being slapped because of Wanyan's willfulness. It must hurt, right? I apologize to you on behalf of Wanyan. Zhang Qian pursed his lips. Actually, it doesn't hurt. Qiao Yihuan looked at him slightly in surprise, as if unable to believe the words that had just come out of his mouth. Being slapped not hurt? She was protecting him like this. Why did he say such a thing? Qiao Yihuan paused. Even if it doesn't hurt, slapping someone is a great humiliation, and it's so wrong. We can talk about anything. Well, why do we have to do it? Qiao Wanyan was getting impatient, shouting endlessly, so annoying. Xiaolon glanced diagonally opposite and quietly took a step forward to whisper something in Qiao Wanyan's ear. Qiao Wanyan's face remained calm and she didn't respond, but her previously domineering and impatient face instantly changed, as if she had been wronged and suffered a great injustice. Her fan-like eyelashes trembled slightly, and her half-closed eyes cast a shadow on her face, making her eyes look watery. She held one of Qiao Yihuan's hands and said in a low voice, "Both of you are idiots." After speaking before Qiao Yihuan could react to her shameless behavior, she saw her suddenly hold her hand and step back, staggering and almost losing her balance. Looking at herself in surprise, Qiao Yihuan frowned, unable to believe that she could hold her hand, as if she had realized her mistake, but called herself an idiot. Suddenly, a thought flashed through her mind, and Qiao Yihuan instantly came back to her senses and looked over. And sure enough, she saw His Highness the Crown Prince walking over with a dark face. She turned back and glared angrily at Qiao Wanyan, as if she wanted to stare through her. In the past, Qiao Wanyan would have scolded back, but at this moment, she suddenly trotted behind He Ziyu and grabbed his sleeve in fear. He Ziyu didn't shake off Qiao Wanyan's hand, which was expected by Qiao Wanyan, finding someone to rely on immediately when wronged. Even if he had doubts, being trusted and relied on in front of others would arouse protective feelings in any man's shirt. If she hadn't read that storybook, He Ziyu would have definitely been annoyed and shaken off her hand in order to take care of Qiao Yihuan's feelings. But now he didn't shake it off, which proved that his love for Qiao Yihuan was not the only deep-seated one. After all, they hadn't known each other for a long time. Without the baptism of time, how could their feelings be unbreakable? "Your Highness," Qiao Yihuan called softly, hoping that he would shake off Qiao Wanyan's hand. But she didn't wait for the scene she wanted to see for a long time. He Ziyu looked at Qiao Yihuan with a slightly indifferent gaze. He wanted to say something, but the words couldn't come out. He just slightly turned his head and said to Qiao Wanyan, "Didn't you want to learn archery? Have you chosen a bow, Your Highness?" Qiao Yihuan's heart trembled, and she called again. Zhang Qian looked at He Ziyu and then at Qiao Wanyan, his expression cold, but he didn't say a word. Qiao Wanyan also looked in Qiao Yihuan's direction, looked at the anxious Sandat, a lost expression on her face, and met He Ziyu's gaze and shook her head. "I didn't know what kind of bow is suitable for me, and the bows on the long table are not good looking." He Hu raised his other hand, and Jing Yuan immediately presented a phoenix bow, inlaid with jade beads to him. "This bow was given to me by the late Grand Emperor. Because the bow body is light and too delicate, I have been storing it well and never used it. You like beautiful things, and this bow is light and should be suitable for you." Qiao Wanyan's mouth slightly opened, and her autumn pupils suddenly widened, filled with bright and dazzling colors, which were incredibly beautiful. She let go of the hand holding He Ziyu's sleeve, took the bow, admired it back and forth twice, and a very happy smile appeared on her white jade-like face, like clouds in the sky embedded on her face and spreading out, beautiful and moving. He Ziyu felt a strange emotion in his heart when he saw her so happy. She really liked it. Such a beautiful and almost flawless bow. Fortunately, he had it in his hand. "Like it?" Qiao Wanyan nodded. "I like it. I like it so much." This time, It was and that she deliberately flattered the crown prince. The bow in her hand was really so beautiful that it hit her heart. The bow was not made of wood, but of jade. The lines were smooth and perfect, and the jade was clear and transparent, showing that it was carefully carved from the best jade. The bow body was inlaid with jade beads and gemstones, which were properly arranged, and didn't look flashy or vulgar, but were like the finishing touch, shining with edge. Qiao Wanyan was somewhat shocked. Obvious lie, it was jade. Why was it so light in her hand? Although she didn't understand, she could see that it was a rare treasure in the world. She liked it even more. I like your highness so much. As soon as these words came out, several people present were stunned, each with different thoughts. Qiao Wanyan looked up at He Ziyu with burning eyes, and said slowly, like this bow that your highness lent me so much. He Hu was slightly taken aback, then smiled as if to ease the embarrassment. As long as you like it, it's not lent to you. It's given to you. This bow can only be treasured in the East Palace, but giving it to you can bring out its greatest role. Jing Yuan silently looked at His Highness, recalling what he had heard second Miss Qiao and the maid say at the palace gate earlier. Feeling complicated, His Highness wasn't angry. He Ziyu took Qiao Wanyan to a nearby shooting range and didn't say a word to Qiao Yi Huan from beginning to end. Zhang Qian withdrew his gaze, looked at Qiao Yuhuan beside him and said, Sister Yuhuan, the sun is poisonous today. Why dawn? Do you go back and rest first? Staying here would only make her feel worse. Qiao Yi Huan turned around and left without saying a word. When she returned to the tent, she almost threw all the things she could throw on the ground. Hold the bow with your left hand, and naturally hold the center of the bow with the tiger's mouth. He Ziyu picked up a feathered arrow and handed it to her. Knock it on the bowstring, and the tail of the arrow is stuck on the bowstring. Qiao Wanyan knocked the arrow and drew the bow. He Ziyu raised her wrist with the back of his hand through her clothes. Aim at the bullseye, and you can shoot when you aim. In full view of everyone, the feathered arrow landed daily on the ground a zang away. Zhang Qian sneered, played with a feathered arrow in his hand, withdrew his gaze, and landed on Qiao Wanyan's obvious lie and happy face. Are you playing house? How can you be so stupid? He Hu gave him a cold look. It's okay. This is the first time to shoot an arrow. Don't be afraid. I will definitely teach you today. Qiao Wanyan nodded slightly. Your Highness is the best and most gentle. The smile on Zhang Qian's lips froze, and finally he clicked his tongue and didn't speak. Qiao Wanyan shot out 3 more arrows, but each time was worse than the last, and she became discouraged later. Suddenly, a cold breath came from behind. Qiao Wanyan lightly turned her head and saw a purple robe. She looked up slightly and saw He Ziyu's handsome and noble face like agate. He Hu didn't say anything, just held her left wrist with one hand and her right hand with the other. His warm and magnetic voice rang in her ear. Look ahead. As soon as the words fell, the feathered arrow on the bowstring shot out like a galloping lightning, hitting the bullseye exactly. So amazing, Qiao Wanyan praised. The corner of He Ziyu's lips raised an imperceptible smile. Be patient. 1 or 2 failures are nothing. You, Ray, already very smart. Zhang Qiyun looked at Qiao Wanyan shy and moving smile, stood there for a long time, and finally turned away with a dark face. He Hu smiled and said, Wanyan, look ahead. About an hour later, a guard came over. Your Highness, the Emperor invites you to go over. He Hu responded lightly. We've also practiced for a long time. You should go back and rest first. If I'm free this afternoon, I'll come to teach you again. If not, we'll do it tomorrow, okay? Qiao Wanyan nodded. Okay, Your Highness. Go and be busy. Don't worry about me. After He Ziyu left until his back disappeared from sight, Qiao Wanyan turned around, picked up a feathered arrow, aimed at the distant bullseye, and hit the bullseye with one arrow. Kiao Wanyan's face was calm, and there was no excitement of hitting the bullseye alone. She looked up at the boundless sky, and the sun was a little dazzling. She squinted lightly. I'm a little hungry. Let's go back to eat. Seoan stepped forward to take the bow from her hand. Yes, miss. As they walked back, Seoan asked in confusion. Miss, last time you euphemistically told His Highness that the blood-sweating BMW was poisoned to death. His Highness is so smart that he should have guessed who did it. Why didn't TWEC His Highness Ray Primand Kiao Yi Huan today? Kiao Wanyan chuckled. They are destined lovers. How can they quarrel and separate so easily? Seoan didn't understand. Miss, why aren't you worried at all? Worried? What's there to worry about? When dissatisfaction accumulates to a certain extent, the effect of an explosion is much more useful than our Primand now. Today the Crown Prince didn't say a word to Kiao Yi Huan from beginning to end, which proved that the estrangement between the two was already deep. She was waiting for the day when the two would have a big quarrel. Zhang Qiyun didn't go back to the tent directly. Instead, he rode his horse and galloped several times. It wasn't until the sun gradually set that he slowly rode back to the tent. At dinner, Zhang Qiyun had no appetite and just drank glass after glass of wine. The Jing and Marquis found it strange to see him looking preoccupied. Did others not know his son's temper? The little devil in the world, when he encountered something unhappy, he vented it on the spot, regardless of who the other party was, or whether they were happy or not. Now he looked like this, which was really strange. I wonder what happened. Come, Dad will drink with you. In your whole life, Dad has never drunk with you. The Jing and Marquis had a good capacity for alcohol, but Zhang Qiyun also had a good capacity for alcohol. After the two drank a few jars of wine, the Jing and Marquis fell unconscious on the dining table, and Zhang Qiyun was so drunk that he staggered when walking. He stood up, pointed at his father, and muttered, "Is that all the capacity for alcohol? You don't deserve to be my father." Zhang Qiyun had a hadashi and was too dizzy to stand. He was supported by the servant next to him, so as not to fall. I want to find a new father for myself. The servant had black lines on his head. What's wrong with the young Marquis when he was drunk? He had seen those drunkards before. When he didn't work in the Jing and Marquis mansion, he ran errands in restaurants. Those drunkards either cursed, bragged, or fell asleep when they were drunk, or molested little ladies. Why was the young Marquis different? He wanted to find a new father for himself. Aren't you afraid that the Jing and Marquis will scold him when he wakes up? Although he was spoiled to the core on weekdays, he couldn't help but whip him when encountering such things, right? Young Marquis, let this servant send you back to rest. Zhang Qiyun pushed him away and staggered towards Minister Kiao's tent. Minister Kiao was eating alone. Madame Jin had no appetite and was talking to several ladies. Kiao Wanyan lived in the palace, and naturally didn't he come to eat with him. Seeing the young dandy staggering in, still carrying a pot of wine in his hand, it was clear that he was drunk and came to find trouble. Throw him out, Minister Kiao ordered calmly. Dad. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked, especially Minister Kiao, whose hand that was about to pick up food was frozen in midair. Looking at him in disbelief, Minister Kiao swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at the attendant beside him. What did he just say? The attendant said cautiously, Dad. Minister Kiao was silent for a moment. Kick him out. The attendant was about to step forward to kick the young Marquis out of the tent, but saw that Zhang Qiyun was agile at this time. He bent down, broke in, pulled a stool, and sat next to Minister Kiao. Dad, I toast you. I have always admired your character. Please let me toast you today. Minister Kiao looked at him with a little disgust, but when he heard that he was drunk and could say the truth that he had always admired his character, he sighed heavily. Well, since you want to drink, I'll drink with you, you little dandy. Just get drunk and let someone carry him back. A young man who was so drunk could and drank much. Then Zhang Qian, in a state of residual blood, drank Minister Qiao until he was dizzy and saw double. The attendants of the Shangshu mansion and the servants of the Jing and Marquis mansion in the tent looked at each other, and then looked at the two people not far away with a bit of helplessness on their faces. Zhang Qiyun had eyed in to know when sat on the ground, hugging Minister Qiao's thigh and crying loudly, "She ignores me, she ignores me." Minister Qiao's voice was a little choked. "My wife also ignores me. She also ignores me." It was just because he accidentally broke the teacup his wife gave him, and now he didn't eat with him. Zhang Qiyun was aggrieved and could stand being ignored. He had been aggrieved all afternoon. "Dad, we're in the same boat." Minister Qiao's tent was the only way back to the palace from the racecourse. He Yanli came in when he heard Zhang Qiyun's voice. He thought it was Zhang Qiyun's tent, and he was crying to the Jing and Marquis and came in to watch the fun. Who would have thought he was hugging Minister Qiao's thigh and crying, "Dad, Prince this." He Yanli didn't speak, just stepped forward to grab Zhang Qiyun's collar and drag him out. Zhang Qiyun's mind was really blank at the moment. He stretched out a hand to grab Minister Qiao and cried, "Dad." The servant of the Jing and Marquis mansion was so frightened that he hurried out and wanted to say something to Prince Jing, but seeing Prince Jing's gloomy face and understanding of Prince Jing from others, he finally swallowed the words. He followed silently until the road became more and more remote. The servant finally could help but ask Prince, "The road ahead is getting darker and darker. Where are you taking our young Marku is?" He Yanli suddenly stopped and looked back at him. The guard behind him hit him on the back of the neck with a hand knife, and he fainted immediately. The guard caught him, carried him to the side, and tied him up neatly. He Yanli looked down at Zhang Qian, who had fainted and lost consciousness on the ground. His eyebrows were furrowed, and his cold gaze had no trace of temperature. "Prince, what should we do with the young Marquis?" Mo Hao asked calmly. The young Marquis had never had a good end when he provoked the prince before. Now he even dared to call Minister Qiao, the father of the second Miss Qiao, Dad in front of the prince. That was the prince's father, he Yanli said in a leisurely and lazy tone. He is the young Marquis of the Jing and Marquis mansion. What can this king do to him? In the distance, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse, until the east turned fish-belly white. The first ray of soft light sprinkled on the earth, and also on Zhang Qiyun. The first scream of the Shanglin hunting ground broke out. Qiao Conshan, the legitimate son of the second branch of the Qiao family, shoot head with a voice that shocked the world and wept ghosts and gods. He stepped back in fright, sat on the ground, and looked at the scene not far away with wide eyes. The Imperial guards on patrol heard the sound and immediately rushed over here. Then, they saw the young Marquis of the Jing and Marquis mansion hanging on the high shelf. Not only that, but everyone also clearly saw that the young Marquis was stripped of his clothes, but was lucky enough to leave a pair of pure white underwear on his back. A bloody whip mark was shocking. This, who on earth dared to be so arrogant as to attack the young Marquis of the Jing and Marquis mansion in the Shanglin hunting ground? Hurry, let the young Marquis down. There's another person tied up next to him. Untie him. The servant of the Jing and Marquis mansion witnessed the terrible things last night. At the moment, he looked at the tall Imperial guards with tears on his trembling face. The Imperial guard asked, "Did you see who hurt the young Marquis of the Jing and Marquis mansion?" The servant burst into tears and shook his head wildly. "I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I really didn't see it." He would rather die in the Jing and Marquis mansion than in the hands of Prince Jing. Even the young Marquis dared to do this, not to mention a mere servant like himself. Fortunately, he was knocked out with a hand knife last night. When he woke up later and saw Prince Jing handwriting, he continued to pretend to be unconscious. Otherwise he would not be better. The Imperial guard frowned. Send the young Marquis back first. When they all went back, the Jing and Marquis finally felt better after drinking a bowl of hangover soup early in the morning. As soon as he heard that his precious son had been tortured outside and hung all night, he immediately slapped the table in anger. After ordering everyone to retreat and listening to the servant who went out of the tent with Zhang Qiyun last night, the Jinggan Marquis was even more angry. His grandmother's turtle. He didn't they've a father and went to call someone else dad? Why didn't you kill this bastard? The Imperial Guards waited outside. After a while, the Jing and Marquis went out. There's no need to investigate my son's matter. He was drunk last night and tied himself to the shelf. It has nothing to do with others. The Imperial Guard was lightly taken aback. Marquis, but the young Marquis also has a bad whip mark on his back. The Jing and Marquis had a black face. He hid it himself. With that, he turned around and entered the tent. Imperial Guard. On the back the whip mark hit by himself? The Jinggan Marquis was not angry. But after staying in the capital for so many years, even if he sued the emperor, this matter would only end in nothing. He was a doting father, and the emperor protected Prince Jing without limit. Otherwise, how could Ozlis Prince, whose mother's family had fallen, be given hundreds of thousands of military power even after going to the fiefdom of Beiming City? After breakfast, He Ziyu left from the emperor and empress. After leaving the palace, a guard stepped forward and whispered something in his ear. He closed his eyes, and a mockery appeared on his hollow and noble face. Making a mess without limit. Such an end was deserved. However, thinking that Zhang Qiyun was by the side yesterday and Wanyan ignored him at all, it was reasonable to be aggrieved and drink boring wine. He Ziyu looked at the sun in the distance. It's a nice day today. Jing Yuan also took a look. The weather is really good today. Does your highness want to enter the hunting ground to relax? You've been tired from handling the affairs of the hunting ground these days. He Ziyu walked down the high platform. No, I promised Wanyan to teach her archery yesterday. I'm free today, so I'll go and ask her if she wants to go to the shooting range with me, Jing Yuan said. This subordinate saw second Miss Qiao leave the palace and go to Minister Qiao's place this morning. I guess she had breakfast with Minister Qiao. He Ziyu was in a good mood and didn't say anything, just walked towards Minister Qiao's tent. Qiao Wanyan really didn't expect that. As soon as she entered the tent, she saw He Yanli and her father having breakfast together. The tent was full of the smell of wine. After asking carefully, she learned that it was not that they drank in the morning, but that the smell of wine from last night had not dissipated. Then Dad and Prince Jing can have breakfast slowly. I'll go out first. He Yanli's hand holding the teacup stopped in mid-air. He looked down at the light green tea in the cup. What does second miss mean? Do you feel disgusted when you see this king and want to leave in a hurry? Minister Qiao's head was a little heavy, and he felt better after drinking a bowl of hangover soup. When he heard this, he immediately smiled and responded, "What is the prince talking about? My daughter just doesn't want to disturb the prince's breakfast." He Yanli took a sip of tea, raised his eyes to look at her. This king doesn't feel disturbed. Second miss should not have had breakfast yet. Sit down and eat together. This king has no appetite, and seeing you is a little appetizing. Qiao Wanyan really hadn't had breakfast yet. When she heard this, she didn't hesitate and sat down directly. The servant immediately added a set of tableware. He Yanli put down the teacup but didn't intend to continue talking to her. He picked up the chopsticks and was about to pick up a crystal shrimp dumpling, but unexpectedly, a pair of chopsticks accurately took away the one he was supposed to take away. Qiao Wanyan smiled brightly. "Prince, don't be polite. Eat more." After that, she looked at him and smiled while eating the crystal shrimp dumpling she had just snatched. Well, the one grabbed was especially fragrant. Minister Qiao blinked. and the remaining alcohol suddenly woke up. Daughter don't twe know that we are. The prince shirt shaped. Where did you get the courage to provoke and add to the trouble?